And she's looking to add more accolades in a third conference. She was a 2017 Pac-12 Freshman of the Year at Oregon State, and then clocked 2018 and 2019 all Big 12 honors when she was at Oklahoma. A little bit behind Monserrat in assists per set, but has the advantage of a very deep defensive roster here at Ole Miss, and you'll see her make use of that in feeding the middles.
When you look at the bench for the University of Florida, a familiar face. 31st season here in Gainesville for Mary Wise, over 900 wins. She is the longest tenured coach in the history of this institution in her 31st season, as I mentioned.
And not only that, to stay here, you've got to be able to continue to adapt, and Mary Wise has done that here with this Florida Gator program.
Caleb Ann Worth, the head coach for Ole Miss, in her second season, walked on at Nebraska, became a star at Nebraska, and she's becoming a star in this league,
and
just in her second season.
Testament to her abilities here is how many grad transfers and other transfers have come to this roster to play for her.
McLaughlin serves to open up the match for Ole Miss. And the attack for Florida is in. Ole Miss thought it was out, but the kill is good for the Gators.
And that's the sweet shot for normally outside hitter Thayer Hall. She loves that line shot down that right side and makes use of that in one rotation as she plays outside for Florida.
Hall with the superb serve there as Ole Miss has to scramble, goes to the right side and gets a kill from the right side from Gigi Carvaccio.
Carvaccio hit just a little bit of tape there, and that was enough to redirect the ball. You saw Beeson reach up with one hand. She was expecting a lower roll shot.
Serving next for the Ole Miss Rebels is number 8, Maggie Miller.
Maggie Miller serves for Ole Miss here. Junior out of Cypress Creek High School in Houston, Texas. McKissick with a solid pass for Florida. On the right side was Beeson, but a great up from Ole Miss's libero.
What a touch by Monserrat to keep that ball alive there. Just a last-ditch reach out with one arm.
Tip shot over the middle is good for Peyton Burgach.
Ole Miss, if they're going to come in here and play strong against Florida, one of the things that they're going to need to do is take advantage of the fact that Florida always seems to start off a little bit slower and establish a rhythm. I think that's an artifact of having to switch between the lineups here.
Monserrat pushes one to the outside to Caesar.
Tell that Caesar's very comfortable at that left pin. She's the one pin hitter that hasn't moved around at all. She stayed at that left side.
Right side, Beeson gets it down with the tip shot. The defense from Ole Miss, 3 players are surrounded it, but none of the 3 really knew how to play that tip.
And it's got to be great to, if you're a Merritt Beeson fan, to see her make a comeback. She had a rough weekend against Baylor earlier on in the season, and as a freshman, that's always psychologically tough to bounce back from, but she's here to stay.
Service error there for Florida's libero, Ellie McKissick. She ties Caesar for the highest number of service errors on this team. And consistent serving has been an issue for Florida. Had a chance to talk to Dave Booz during the Georgia trip. He says repetitions, we're doing more, and we're just looking at different strategies as well. First look for Forte. Lauren Forte in the match makes her presence known, Josh.
And with a roster of this size, it's easy on pretty much every play to talk about one of the players that has contributed to, I guess, the chaos here for Florida. Forte, plagued by injuries, had an ankle roll in the Florida State match and spent some time in a boot afterwards. Is just in her second or third match back now.
Double set, it floats past the middle and out to the outside for their kill leader for the Ole Miss Rebels, Anna Baer.
Baer was a huge problem in Ole Miss's last match against Kentucky. Went to 5, Tom. In the majority of those sets, Ole Miss was leading in the majority of the sets.
Serve again here for Dice. Florida goes middle again, and that's just a lethal weapon for Florida. The quick set to the middle kill for Forte.
What a blessing Forte has been for this Florida roster also. She comes in and she's playing opposite senior Lauren Dooley. And Dooley's been more of a defensive player, but when a player like Forte jumps up with her reach and the angles she can hit, she really bounces the ball.
Trouble for Mississippi, but played across by Monserrat quickly. And right outside the Bear again.
Yeah, Monserrat with the turnaround. She sent a knuckle back over, trying to capitalize on that ball as it was still in the plane of the net. But you have to expect Ole Miss to set Bear. And just to kind of give you an example, against Kentucky, who was the number 6 team at the time, 447 she hit, 20 kills in that 5-set match.
And here is former Florida Gator Riley Fisher serving for Ole Miss. She's just one of 2 players to play in every set for the Rebels here. And Hall just tried to get the ball back up after being blocked, and that's outside the antenna, which is out of bounds.
That was an opportunity for both Hall and McKissick to play off of that attack coverage. They both had time, and maybe just a little bit too much time.
Fisher serves for the Rebels. Back row right side. There's the kill for Tiara Caesar. First on the day on her second look.
And you know, you couldn't see two more different teams than these 2 squads here. And Tiara Caesar, Thayer Hall, Merritt Beeson all hit out of the back row for Florida. You don't see that for Ole Miss. Ole Miss uses their right side, whether it's Dice or in some cases Schnitta in the back row, but otherwise they've got 2 defensive specialists back there, a libero and a DS, so they don't hit out of the back row at all.
Awkward shot there for Sasha Ratliff as we tie up the score at 6 here with the freshman Trinity Adams. She's played in every set in the last 6 matches, becoming one of Florida's serving specialists in the back row, the freshman.
A big block from Florida there. I mentioned how Dooley was defensive-minded when it comes to her role as a middle. We saw that there with a little bit of help. Watch, you kind of see in that angle that Thayer Hall came in to put up a double in the middle. And you have to expect that against Ratliff. Ole Miss has 2 middle blockers, both middle blockers, that are in the top 10 SEC kill percentage.
Out to the outside. Carvacho is played up. There's a nice up from the Gators out to the outside. Did she catch the line? She did to Thayer Hall with the roll shot. Had enough top spin to keep it in, Josh.
Yeah, the disadvantage of that out-of-system play offensively is you know that you're going to have 2 blockers up against you. Hall saw that and just took a high roll and probably couldn't have been any less in.
Oh. Florida's going to keep that alive, yes. Monserrat, the free ball opportunity here for Ole Miss. Gator players on the bench really excited about this long rally and the way the Gators are staying in it. Beeson with the up. Can Hall get there? No.
A lot of heat on Merritt Beeson and middle back on that one. Basically a 1-on-0 there. Ole Miss coming out on top, and it seemed like throughout that whole play, Florida was scrambling. Saw some really good direction changes in transition, but by and large, the Gators were playing catch-up throughout that whole exchange.
Here's another player for Ole Miss that has made quite an impact on the program. Graduate transfer from Maryland, Bergio. Carvacho goes down the line, trying to go around the block and misses.
Florida putting a lot of pressure on over there at their right pin against Carvacho. She had to look for a tool. It looked like she was trying to go for the outside hand of Monserrat on that one and just missed it wide.
Marley Monserrat, now a senior. Last of 3 sisters to play here at the University of Florida with volleyball. 10 years ago, the freshman showed up on campus as that's out in Maddie or Madison Monserrat.
That's right. Legacy players were Allie and Marley following their big sister Maddie, and it's been really interesting to see just the differences in personalities in the way they all approach the games. 2 of them setter, as you have one a libero DS.
Yeah, Allie was so businesslike, and Madison was the fiery one.
Well, and you know, there's a really good write-up on the Gators webpage recently that, if I remember the title correctly, it was Being Marley. And it actually commented on that and how she tends to emulate Maddie with her intensity a little bit more. Allie, for those who remember her playing, she was very, very even-keeled, very poised all the time.
Well, I can tell you one thing, is a great up with the pancake save, and it is called down.
Gonna get a contact save. Almost got Tom Collette involved in that play as that ball was headed towards the immediate save. I saw it.
One thing about Marley, back to her just for a second.
Sure.
Add Allie and Madison up together, she smiles more than both of them. She's always smiling, no matter what the situation. Surfer, Thayer Hall, there's an up from Marley, and the Gators will block it back. Is trying to make a play quickly was Peyton Burgach, but the Gator blockers were there that time, Josh.
Big defensive play, and check this out. Monserrat is actually second on the team in digs per set. You can see why there in her reaction. But you also have to give credit to Dooley and Caesar up front being ready to close at the tape.
4-point lead Gators forcing the Ole Miss timeout here in the first set in Gainesville.
The timeout, Gators
First of two between Ole Miss and Florida here in Gainesville this weekend, and Florida has dominated this series, Josh. 58th meeting all time. Mary Wise has not suffered a loss to the Ole Miss Rebels during her tenure in the orange and blue.
Well, maybe a little confidence booster last weekend for Ole Miss as they watched Mississippi State, who was in a similar situation and never had a win against the Gators, actually split that doubleheader. So I think that even though Florida always has a big target on their back anytime an SEC opponent comes into this gym, it may have gotten just a little bit bigger now that Mississippi State was able to draw blood.
Mississippi State and Ole Miss, two programs that have been near the bottom part of the league, really making leaps and bounds, and part of it due to getting players in the transfer portal.
Got that right. And like I said, I think one of the big things here is also Ole Miss's ability to use the middle. But as we just saw here, Florida relies on the pins much more. Because of the lack of that first contact depth, a lot of times, even though that was a perfect transition dig there, Monserrat is delivering to her hitters from farther off into the court, and those left pin hitters are her only option.
Libero for Florida, McKissick serves. Out to Bear. Great up and back middle from Hall, who will play the roll shot, but there's a great up from Bergio. That was one of the keys for Florida winning. We just saw Gators getting touches on blocks as Caesar terminates.
And I'll tell you, there are a lot of reasons to celebrate this Florida team. And we mentioned the smaller roster depth-wise, but there are no lack of talent here. And as we see Caesar just absolutely unload on a ball, and I think of all of the celebrations, those that follow her swings like that are probably the most euphoric amongst the Gator huddle.
Such a dynamic attacker is Tiara Caesar, the redshirt senior. Came back to the Sunshine State after initially starting her career at Georgia. She has just been spectacular lately, heating up. 11 straight double-digit kill matches for Caesar as we get a look from Hall in the back row.
Ole Miss having to go out of system there.
That one danced on the net tantalizingly. There, Hall rips. And great awareness. She knows the middle blocker is in back left and Burgach. That's where I'm going to send that attack. Yeah,
very heads-up play, high IQ. Hall has got to be one of, if not the backbone of this program over her tenure at least, as a sixth rotation outside. She's been plagued by injuries also, but so dynamic of a player that the Gators have relied on her a lot.
There's an up from Hall, strong hands plated above her head. And they're digging in for the big rip, and Caesar pulls back with the roll shot, and it's effective.
After the last two swings from Caesar, if you don't get low and ready on defense, then I think you're taking your life in your own hands. But
True.
That's the advantage. That's when you switch up to off speed.
Not a great pass there from, who was that on the back left? That was Maggie Miller. Couldn't see the number.
But a really impressive spin set from McLaughlin as she came out probably halfway to the baseline there and was able to get under a low dig and get around and send the ball to left pin.
Service for Julia Dice. Bear will play it up and then take a rip. Somehow Marty got it across the net with a left elbow, but it's out of bounds.
And, there it is again. As you see her turn around into her huddle, she's laughing with a huge smile on her face. You mentioned she's always smiling, and in that setter position, it doesn't matter whether you're on offense or defense, you're always seeing her. So watch this. She knows that she made the error and still turns around and is in good spirits.
Free ball opportunity here for Florida. Where will Monserrat go? To the middle. Right in front of her was Forte.
Well, and you have to remember also, as a just clipped the pin on that one. But as a 5-1 setter, Monserrat is actually very active offensively on the second contact also. That's just another thing that your opponents have to pay attention to when they come to the O'Connell Center here.
Mary Wise doesn't like the way this first set has been trending of late as Ole Miss goes on a 3-0 scoring run to cut into Florida's lead. It's Florida 16, Ole Miss 13 here in the first from Gainesville. The quarterback for this Gator team is the setter Marlee Monserrat, second in the SEC, over 11 assists per set.
And watch as she just goes around the world on this. Right side, middle, back row, left pin, doesn't matter. Her connection with her hitters is what's gotten her to that 11.15 assists per set. And like I said, number 10 in the nation as an 11.18. She's right there knocking on the door.
The only one she's looking up at in the SEC is Gracie Ryan out at Arkansas. Marley Monserrat, well-rounded player, 4 double-doubles on this season. Had 40 assists Wednesday night at Georgia as the Gators bounce back from that Mississippi State Bulldog loss to beat the Georgia Bulldogs.
Well, and to finish that thought from before the break also, she'll dump the ball. There it is.
Well, right on cue. That's why he's a doctor and I'm not. Dr. Josh Crow right here.
So that's the thing. If you're looking through the net at the Gators, you've got all of these dominating hitters, but for 3 rotations, you've got to watch out for the Marley Monserrat shenanigans on set or on the second contact as well.
I'm going to use that too in a future broadcast. Shenanigans.
Okay.
Never heard a second contact called a shenanigan. Great block touch at the net, allowing McKissick to make the play. Great up from Bergio.
Another good quality touch from the Gators. They're not ending the play with the block, but they're making the job so much easier for the Gator defense.
There's a touch there, but Bear powers one through. She had a season-high 20 kills in that 5-set thriller at home in the loss to Kentucky. That was their biggest crowd ever in the Gillum Sports Center.
I could believe that. It was a phenomenal performance. How about this, and with Ole Miss, though, in that last exchange? It can be very frustrating when you're swinging away and the ball just doesn't go down. But they didn't back off one bit, just kept the pedal to the floor and were hammering away at that Florida block.
Laughlin goes outside. Carvacho misses it.
Looks like it was a wide call. Carvacho keeps looking to that line. And she's the type of player where those fine-tuned adjustments, she'll find it eventually. We saw one go off the hands. This one's a roll shot just over the shortest blocker in the front row of Monserrat.
That's in the blue.
And we can see, yeah, right in front of Caesar there, just out. And at the tail end of that clip, we saw Caesar put her hand up. Oh, that was out.
Pass for the former Gator Fisher there for Ole Miss. And on the right side, a nice look at the right antenna for Sasha Ratliff.
And Ratliff will hit behind. She'll run that slide for Ole Miss. I think she's more effective for the Rebels in front of the setter. But again, that diversity in what she brings forces the Florida middle to pay attention. And that time, got a leg up on the Gators.
Out to Hall. And Hall on the angle shot. I'll bet the diving play there by Fisher. She saw that a lot in practice in her 3 years here against the former teammate, Tiara Caesar.
Well, there's a
Thayer Hall.
Big difference in just the 2 venues, so it's got to be interesting for Fisher to come back into the Exact Tech Arena here and face some of this hard-driven offense from her old teammates.
Florida's offense really in high gear here, hitting over 400 are the Gators as a team. What an up from McKissick. Somehow Hall got it across with the left hand.
And equally as impressive as Monserrat, tailing that ball into the plane of the net, turning her back inward, and getting a killable set out to Hall. But Hall, like you said, had to make the adjustment. Just athleticism across the board there.
That was a bullet from Monserrat. There's another block touch for Florida. That's got to bring a smile to Dave Booze's face as Beeson tools the block on the far side from where we are. Burgach was up on that block along with Carvacho, but great play by the freshman Beeson.
Well, and check this out. Beeson, you could kind of see that she's off the screen to the left there as she makes that contact. She was a good 5 to 6 feet off the net and still kept her vision to hit it on the block.
Service error for Florida.
Service error, point runner.
Third in the first set for the Gators. Still up by 5 here late in the opening frame. For Ole Miss, here's the grad student, Kylie McLaughlin. Talked about her in the Open. Started her career at Oregon State, then Oklahoma. Now finds Oxford home. On the right side, just a short approach, straight on, kill, Thayer Hall.
And Gigi Carvacho coming back into the Rebel huddle, clearly frustrated with that, knowing that that's Thayer Hall's shot, but still not being able to defend it. How's that?
Out to the outside, the tip shot for Dice. And did someone hit the net? Nope.
Double on
Double
the
hit?
Gators, yeah.
Okay. Just looking over there to see what Don Goodwin had his hand up. I was blocked from view for a moment by Beeson, who was in my...
She's an imposing figure, no doubt.
Well, taller than I am. I think
That's a
everyone
low
on the
bar,
Gator
Tom.
team now is.
I'm just kidding.
I'm 6'1", but wow, the way when I first started broadcasting volleyball in the mid to late 90s, 6'1" was a big middle blocker.
Yeah,
That's not a middle blocker anymore. No.
Maggie Miller.
22-17 here late in the opening frame. And here is Maggie Miller checking in, serving for the Rebels. Caesar unloads, but what an up there by Bergio.
That's another difference in these two programs, as Bergio, as a libero, plays middle back for the Rebels. And as I mentioned before, they use DSs as well, but to have her in that middle back position, it allows a little bit more wiggle room for the Ole Miss middles to not close. They can commit to the Florida middles a little more, and if they leave a seam, Bergio is there to pick it up.
Well, you go to the right side, and there is Merritt Beeson, the freshman, blasting away.
Take a look at this here. Speaking of seams, finds a late blocker there in Bergoch and goes right over her inside hand as she tries to close. Or
Florida.
outside hand, excuse me.
Florida with a 5-point lead late here, forcing Kayla Banworth to take the Ole Miss timeout. For Florida, the freshman Merritt Beeson has found her groove again. Played very well early, had back-to-back double-digit kills at Stanford and against Minnesota. But then, prior to the Mississippi State matches, in 5 matches, hit negative numbers. But against Mississippi State, 9 kills, 4 kills, hit 269 and 375. And against Georgia on Wednesday night, she hits 400, so she is back, and what a refreshing, I guess, good thing to have for the coaching staff of Florida to have Beeson back in a groove offensively on that right side.
It's been a roller coaster. In talking with associate head coach Dave Booz prior to season, he mentioned that she's the dark horse. Nobody would see her coming, and he was right. Hit a bit of a brick wall against Ryan McGuire's Baylor squad, but like you said, has bounced back really well. 750 is no small number.
She'll tip it across there, and McLaughlin has to play it up. Bear with a well-placed roll shot. Forte and Beeson on their way down.
Dare I say perfect on that one. Bear's another type of player who's got a very heavy swing, so when she does change up to a roll shot or a tip, if she disguises it well, she baits everyone.
Point here, and Florida gets to set point, and they'll get the kill in the middle from Lauren Forte. Fans in the Exact Tech Arena come to their feet.
Forte just hinged at her elbow there. She was right up underneath the ball and clipped down off of Sasha Ratliff's left hand.
She's back with the cheerleaders as Beeson. That's a tough one to play if you're in serve receive. That ball's near a long time.
A more international style serve too. She struggled with her serving effectiveness as well. I think it's a good change to keep her on the ground.
Yep, and way back, she has been effective. Bear on the outside. Beeson with the up.
Caesar having to make a change up there. That ball way off the net.
Back row right side, Beeson. That almost hit the scoreboard from Bergio. And Lauren Dooley says enough is enough. Let's end this first set, the quick middle set in transition, and she ends it.
How about that for a long rally in an offensive-minded team versus a defensive-minded team, and the Gators come out on top.
Florida Gators riding the offensive wave of hitting over 440, take the first set by a half dozen. The heart and soul of this Florida Gator team is now the senior, former #1 recruit in the country, Thayer Hall.
And as normally an outside, we saw in this opening package here that right side shot down the line. She's over there in one rotation. Saw it again there. And that plays right into her natural tendencies as an outside. One of the hardest things to do to hit from the pin is down the line, and she's so good at it.
The match today features the top 2 teams in hitting efficiency in the conference. Ole Miss comes in at #1, Florida #2. Florida offense, when they can pass and give Marley Montre options with all those hitters, a very dangerous team.
100%, Tom. In that first set, every single one of Florida's players, except for Trinity Adams, who doesn't hit, was at 300 or higher, and that's including Monserrat, the setter.
Wow. We've seen stretches from this team. When we saw Florida play the first Mississippi State match, the second set was 25-11, and the offense was going, and then Mississippi State's defense strengthened.
Well, it's easy to look at that doubleheader against the Bulldogs and get a little doom and gloom as far as the Gators season. But there are two things that are very important to point out. Mississippi State is not your normal Mississippi State team this year.
They're very much improved.
They're going to do some pretty cool things. But the Gators also, like you said, have all of the pieces in line. They just have to take care of the pass.
Monterey serves to open up the second set for Florida, up a frame against the Rebels, and the big stuff block. There's Beeson with Dooley closing late.
And one thing that's not new for Florida is that net play defensively. There have been so many Florida matches where the tide is turned based on blocking alone. Look at how straight down this ball is.
When coming in, Florida had led the league the last 4 years in blocks per set. Currently, they're 5th in the league, and this Ole Miss team is 2nd in the league in blocks per set. They've really done a nice job defending at the net, have these Rebels.
I agree. You do have to consider the differences in their schedule in the preseason. However, I think that's important to point out. Mississippi State putting up Ole Miss putting up great numbers. But before Kentucky, they only played one other ranked team in Western Kentucky.
Beeson with the up there for Florida on the roll shot. Caesar back row, blasting away. Too much for McLaughlin to handle for Ole Miss in back right.
And again, both, particularly these two pin hitters in Caesar and Hall, so effective out of the back row. Watch how she unloads cross body on this shot. Look at the pace of this ball.
Wow.
No surprise there that it took Kylie McLaughlin off guard.
We see the lefty, Schnitta, for the first time this afternoon, take a swing.
It's funny, we were talking about that over break, Tom.
Where is she?
And I think that in the last match against Kentucky, she was having some servicing problems, and that's why she was pulled out. But offensively, she's a powerhouse over there, as we saw just with that angle shot, putting the ball down.
Yeah, she played in the first 2 sets against Kentucky. 3-1-10 was her stat line with a service ace and a block assist.
Well, and Craig Skinner's Wildcats are really targeting her with the serve in that match. And I think that's why Benworth decided to take her out in place of Julia Dice. Dice, not as productive offensively, but was able to play that role in serve receive a little bit better. And she stayed in for the remainder of the match.
And that story about Benworth, we just briefly touched on it. Walked on to Nebraska. Midway through her freshman season, became a starting libero.
How about that?
She's turned into one of the best players all time in Nebraska history.
And, I think it's worth pointing out that great players don't always make great coaches. So, it's another feather in her cap for being able to make that transition so effectively. Wow. Speaking of transition, how about that transition kill off of Forte?
We're going to have the crew take a look at the floor. There might be a dent in it. Watch this. Wow.
And Monterey Forte connection loves that push set where Forte is not running the quick set right in Marley Monterey's face, but instead is a little bit away.
Schnitta from the right. Who took that? I think it was Hall.
Forte getting up and at least getting a touch on that ball.
Bear from the outside.
She found it.
Kept it in. Tied at 4.
Not as much rotation on that ball. It actually looked like McKissick maybe thought it was going out and got out of the way a little. We can see her on the replay. A little bit flat. Yeah, I don't know if she was either trying to save face, no pun intended, or let it go by. But either way, she found the corner very good.
Well, that pun was intended, we know.
Yeah, it really was.
That was a great pass from McKissick, ending with a Caesar kill on the outside for Tiara Caesar. She's got 6 on the day.
And that's why the passing is so important, is when you do lose a point, are you able to piggyback your own momentum by getting the ball right back? And if you don't pass well, you can't use your full offense and do that.
That ball, the bottom just dropped out for Caesar on the serve. Nice court awareness from Sasha Ratliff.
Bear marked a spot in that back corner there, and Ratliff, almost like they're playing a game of horse in basketball, went right after it with the off-speed shot.
And you saw McKissick thought about it, but might be sailing long, but just took enough off to keep it in that back corner.
That was very well executed out of the middle.
Forte, not as much mustard on that hot dog on that swing, but that's on top of you in a hurry, even if not a full high velocity shot.
But the advantage there for Lowe is that she is able to reach so high. She generates a lot of angle. So her hitting cone to either side of a single middle blocker is pretty vast. And we saw that. Really caught Samantha Schnitta off guard going to her right. She didn't expect that.
How about 6-0-7 for Forte?
There's that
another
same
one.
spot again.
Yeah, this time on the outside, it's Julia Dice finding that back left corner. Tied at 6.
You mentioned Forte's hitting percentage. She's second in the SEC right now. And just if I remember correctly, trailing Ava Bell from Tennessee. What a play there.
That was Fisher. Free ball opportunity for the Gators. Hall again. That one's out. Look out.
No, and
McLaughlin.
frustrated by, Kylie McLaughlin, thinking she
Took a
had,
tumble.
had an open spot down there. But look at Riley Fisher running this ball down with the uppercut. Whoop! Oh, man. Keeping the ball alive for the Rebels. Super impressive there. And then she's right back in it and set up in her base, ready to transition before the Gators can cycle.
Monterey serves for Florida. Schnitta passes.
Caught just a
Okay.
little bit of the block there, slowed it
Yes.
down just enough to keep it out of reach of Tiara Caesar. That's a shot that you have to go for when you've got a big block up in front of you, like the Rebels do when they're hitting from the left. You have to be able to use the hands.
Dice's third kill on the afternoon. McLaughlin serves for the Rebels. Right side Hall, the tip shot. I think it caught him off guard because she's blasted away a couple times with that quick approach right at him, and the tip took him off guard. The blockers.
I think you're right. And Hall actually looking for a little bit of an angle on this one too with her off speed. That may be her Achilles heel at that side. She's not as productive hitting a hard angle from the right because there's mechanically nothing that mimics that with how she hits at the left pin. It's new for her.
Dooley got a piece of that with Beeson, but it's a kill for Ole Miss off the net from the left side.
Yeah, way off. I mentioned that Ole Miss doesn't do much out of the back row, and it's gotta be pretty impressive if you can take a ball that's that far off and still find your way around the block, particularly against a block like Florida's.
After getting her fourth kill, Dice serves the error for Ole Miss.
Point Florida.
Just her second error here in the match.
Well, and that's exactly what I mean, though, as far as following and maintaining momentum. Loss of the ball doesn't have to mean loss of momentum, but you either need to follow up with a good pass or follow up with an effective serve. And that's that serve-pass battle you always hear coaches talk about.
Right side Schnitta, and she just missed it on the angle shot. What a lethal left arm from the right side.
Sam Schnitta not only has a whip of an arm, but you're right, she's a lefty. And you saw the pace on that ball, but she actually approaches very fast also. From her first step to the ball getting to the floor on the other side is very fast.
Great
McKissick,
up,
not fooled
McKissick.
there.
Look out for Caesar's towel. It's on the floor as she misses the shot.
Caesar rushing just a little bit with that crossbody shot. Tried to hit a draw to the back right corner on the Ole Miss side. A lot of pace, but couldn't find it.
Those left-handed right side hitters are so unbelievably, what's the word I'm looking for? Josh, help me out here. Just
Give me a little more.
an incredible weapon.
Oh, nice up by Beeson there. But
Dangerous is a good word. Thanks to our producer, Scott, for bugging me on that one.
And they are more dangerous, but the reason why, Tom, is because when they approach from the right side, the last step they make is with their right foot, so they're open to the set as it comes to them. They've got the vision to either hit angle or hit down the line.
Caesar from the outside. A block touch for Ole Miss. Schnitta is blocked by Tiara Caesar, and she let out a yell right in front of us of celebration. And she was all over this. Watch this timing.
Solo block by Caesar there. Forte just trying to get her hands above the tape as she's late to close. She was committed to the middle. That's Tiara Caesar's third solo block on the season now.
When Florida's had some terrific right sides through the years, but you seem to remember those lefties who have so much court to hit into with the Kelly Murphys and Amber McCray from that right side.
Yeah.
Of course, Jackie Robinson and Jenny Manns both hit real heavy balls from the right side.
But it's funny that you call on those two. The difference between those two right sides and Thayer Hall, for example, when she's hitting from the right, is they wrap their big swing by Forte out of the middle.
Got to interrupt that for that.
Yeah, you can't let that go by. But those hitters were more body line hitters to where they wrap their feet around, so you could tell when they're going line. Hall, you can't. And speak about telling where you're going. Look at Forte as she rotates around this ball, swings to her left, again creating those huge angles.
She was all SEC last year, did not play in the fall. Showed up in the spring. Her first match was the second match against Ole Miss back in January last year. Earlier this year.
Mentioned how she had some ankle trouble there coming down on somebody at Florida State, but she came to the Gators program on limited jump count in practice because she's recovering from injury.
Caesar blasts away for number 7 on the afternoon.
Talking about dangerous. Tiara Caesar is dangerous no matter where she's hitting on the court for Florida.
Florida really in an offensive rhythm. Hit 447 in the opening frame, 467 current set. There's a block touch for Florida, giving the back row defense a chance.
Went right back to Caesar from the right back again.
Great up Bergio for Ole Miss during this rally. As in the middle, Forte continues to dominate. 8-0-9. Her stat line, 8 kills, no errors, and 9 swings.
And Sasha Ratliff clearly frustrated not being able to unlock the mystery of where Forte is going to go with this ball.
What a connection between Monserrat and Forte with that quick middle set. There's one behind the setter, but she sails it wide to Sasha Ratliff. Florida, the first team to 15 here in the second set, trying to go up 2 on the Ole Miss Rebels, lead it by 4 here at the media timeout. Lauren Forte, what a weapon in the middle blocker position for this University of Florida volleyball squad. Transferred from Cal, didn't play in the fall as we spoke about earlier. Burst onto the scene in the spring. We called one of the matches, actually both matches, but her first match was the second Ole Miss match out in Oxford. We thought a set was going to the outside to Thayer Hall, and she just went up, 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 and hit it straight down for her first kill as a Florida Gator.
And I've talked to Thayer Hall about that. Hall thought it was going to her also.
That's the ups she has. Oh, what a pancake save in front of us. McLaughlin goes to the slide. Not all the way to the antenna, but there's Hall and Forte to block it.
Start off here with this pancake save from McKissick to keep the play alive.
Now you're making me hungry. Who's got the syrup? Wow.
But again, I've talked about how Ratliff is dangerous behind the setter when McLaughlin runs her on the slide, but Hall not tricked on that last one.
That one misses long on the outside from Anna Baer.
Kylie McLaughlin trying to beckon toward a bouncing net, saying, well, what about that? But not getting a call from any of the officials.
Caesar readies to serve for Florida here. Gators up a half dozen. That bottom dropped out on that serve.
Crafty play there from Baer as she swings over, facing away.
Oh my goodness. The extension, and then right there at the 10-foot line down. You said her attack angle down is just incredible with her leaping ability.
But that one was straight on.
Yes.
What really impresses me is when she's able to take those sharp angles to either side. But you had mentioned the connection with Monserrat, and a big part of that is knowing when to set Forte. Monserrat's fantastic at it.
2 terrific saves. The free ball for Ole Miss to play.
McLaughlin running fast offense there out of that transition. And again,
Anna Baer. We said season high 20 kills last match against Kentucky. She's had 5 double-digit kill matches in a row, a total of 9 on the season.
Well, that was one of the things that plagued Florida against Mississippi State, is how quickly they ran the pin sets in transition. That's not something that's easy enough to just say, oh, well, it worked for Mississippi State, we should do it. So credit the Rebels for being able to run that fast to the pin.
Thayer Hall, again on the scoreboard in the kill column. Gotta like the offensive diversity for Florida to this point. Hall 9, Forte 9, Caesar 7.
And
Top 3 scores for the Gators here.
You said it before, though. That's the task against the Gators, is get them off of their offensive rhythm by disrupting the pass and the dig. big smile on Thayer Hall's face after that.
She got 2 hands on it right in front of us.
That's right. And she had cracked a grin. That same smile you're seeing right now on the screen before her feet were even back on the floor. She read that play like a book.
This is an Ole Miss team that came off almost defeating the defending national champions. And Florida is really on task today.
Whoa, perfect transition dig off of one hand overhead from Beeson.
Look up. Adams had to get out of the way. That was unique.
Nearly trouble for Florida on that play.
Who will terminate? Ole Miss gets a look and gets blocked. There's Lauren Dooley, number 99.
Can you terminate defensively? Because I think Lauren Dooley just did.
She
Look
just
at
said,
how
"We're done."
stiff this block is.
Oh.
Play over. You're right, though. You know, Ole Miss really gave the Wildcats fits last. What? Guess it was just midweek here, right?
Yes, Wednesday night.
Wednesday night. Crafty play there from McLaughlin. She sends it over with 2 hands.
And you always hear about style of play and matchups. Is this a bad matchup for Ole Miss, where Kentucky was a good matchup? Dooley got it in.
I think, you know, I don't know if that's a rhetorical question, Tom, but I have to say that you're on to something there in talking about mismatches with strengths and weaknesses between teams. But, man, look at Lauren Dooley's stats now.
4 blocks.
Not only is she hitting 500, but she's just racking the blocks up.
She's tied for 6th in the SEC with 1.2 blocks per set. 76th in the nation.
And honestly, for anybody that follows Florida, and Dooley in particular, you have to be impressed with her progression as a player. Wise and her program have done a really good job of taking the offensive side of Dooley's game, even if it is late here, and getting her to really unload on the ball. Speaking
Thayer
of,
Hall with her 11th kill. She is revved up, shall we say.
and look at this missile from the outside, splitting the block. And again, a smile. Thayer Hall is in a mood today. Maybe Thayer Hall is a mood today.
Double-digit lead for Florida. In preparation for this match today, I never thought I'd see this. The way they handled Kentucky and played Kentucky on Wednesday night. And here we are with a service ace for Marley Monserrat. It's set point.
Now, when you add the ways that Florida can be dangerous, you have to consider the service line. And in the times where Florida has struggled, that's where they're struggling, is with the serve and with the pass. Wow,
Great
what a
up.
dig. A little bit of a miss hit there.
Well, she tried the back set. She was beyond that 10-foot line, so she could play the ball up, and it just sailed too far. Hall didn't even try. It was too far.
We see that as Florida warms up, McKissick will actually practice setting that on-a-system back set, but it's much closer to the left pin. Maybe just tried to do a little too much there.
Second chance at set point for Florida here. Monserrat goes out to Beeson, who's on the left, and Beeson with the beast of an angle shot ends the second set.
Merritt Beeson is so impressive as a freshman. She's a threat from either pin already. And look at that smile.
Florida at home, coming off a great performance against the Georgia Bulldogs on Wednesday night. Have a 2-0 lead here on their home floor against Ole Miss. Florida and Ole Miss here in the Sunshine State in Gainesville this afternoon, and the 22nd ranked team in the land is firing on all 8 cylinders. Actually, it's a V6, 6 players on the court. So 463, Josh, that is a gaudy number.
Well, we've mentioned going into the break the celebration from these Florida players, whether it be Thayer Hall on that block or Beeson going back to the bench with a huge smile, but that's across the board. This Florida team just seems so relaxed in what they're doing, and as you look down the stat line here, you can see why.
All smiles. That was a word you circled and showed me. during the break. All smiles. They're comfortable. They're in a zone. They're in a great playing plane. And Mary Wise against Ole Miss, 48-0. I remember seeing her in her first match coaching against Ole Miss. The coach was John Blair. That's how long ago it was.
Wow.
48-0.
Early 90s, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Indeed. Florida, as a program, has won 49 in a row against the Ole Miss Rebels. Last year, 2 3-0 sweeps in Oxford. But this is a much different team in Ole Miss that only had one win all of last year, 1-19. And this year, they've already, for the first time since 2010, defeated a top 15 opponent when they won at Western Kentucky. And it's the first on the road win for Ole Miss against the top 15 program ever.
Well, it's bad enough to not be able to rely on history when you're talking about the Gators, at least, because they're very different this season. You can't make those comparisons. But you're right. This is the second team in a row that Florida has faced that's having a really breakout season
Renaissance
already. Yeah, renaissance. I like that. There's this metamorphosis in these programs where you got Ole Miss who goes 12-0 in their season prior to facing Kentucky, prior to facing the defending national champion, as you said. That's unheard of.
It is unheard of. McLaughlin serves for Ole Miss to open up set 3. Must-win situation for the Rebels here. Astaire Hall with the tip from the right. That was a nice up from Schnitter to avoid the lift.
From her knees, yeah.
Yes. Go back to Thayer Hall, why not? And Thayer Hall has a dozen kills on the afternoon. And a big smile from the senior.
She's trying to make a liar out of me. I said she's not as effective hitting angle from that side, but that last shot was explosive.
Everyone went silent as Hall took a deep breath to get ready to serve that one. In the middle, first look for Aubrey Saltemeyer. Did not play against Kentucky.
She's only had 7 sets on the season, but that didn't stop her from finding a seam between Beeson and Dooley there with authority.
Well, she's no stranger in this program. She started all the matches last year for Ole Miss. Ooh, and that hit Dooley on the way by, and then
that was a little strange.
Hit Hall in the head.
Clipped off of Dooley's shoulder as she was trying to get out to her starting position.
Oh, gosh. It'll go as a service ace for Dice as the Gators shared a laugh after that one. Hard to get that 6'6" body out of the way, I guess, in serve receive. Beeson from the right, blasts away. 5-0-9, how about that stat line?
Huge swing from the right side again from Beeson. Florida can't let up here. Despite being ahead, Ole Miss has already shown that they can trade punches with the best of them.
Serve forthcoming here from McKissick. Bear gets a seam of the block between Forte and Beeson.
From where I'm sitting, it looked like Forte was just a little bit late to close that block, but it didn't matter. Bear hit the crossbody shot. When you talk about hitters, pin hitters particularly, you can differentiate between body line hitters and non-body line hitters. Does the hitter face where they're going to hit? And Bear showed that you can't guess where the ball is going based on where she's facing.
Lauren Thompson with that serve, and Tiara Caesar on the angle shot misses. It's 4-2 Ole Miss, and this is a team in Ole Miss that won't panic. Kayla Banworth and her squad, they were down 0-2 to Kentucky last time out on their home court and came back and forced a fifth before losing to the defending national champs. Service error there for Lauren Thompson. She had 3 serves. That's what she does for this squad against Kentucky.
And then right back out again. That's got to be one of the more difficult jobs in collegiate volleyball, is to come in and serve and only get those contacts.
Schnitter, the net was friendly to her. It drops in front of the Florida defenders. So Samantha Schnitter.
But you can see on that one, Tom, how quick Sam Schnitter gets into the net as she goes through her approach. Any hitter accelerates through their approach. But Schnitter, who's no short stack, she's 6 foot tall and moves very quickly.
And she's got a bullet for a top spin jump serve. As the kill for Caesar gets her to 8 on the day.
Yeah, you're right. Schnitter is not only the leader for her team, but she's 10th in the SEC on aces. She rips the ball from the baseline.
She's got a bullet. Seen a lot of the Florida servers start from the left side of the end line. Schnida in the back row.
But you can see there, Schnida went to a tip on that one. The Rebels not as comfortable with running the attack out of the back.
Gators get a touch on the block, giving Caesar a chance in back row. Schnida from the back right. Maybe tried to do a little too much with that.
Yeah, she had to get, the ball was a little bit farther outside than where she lined up, so she had to get outside the ball and then wrap back around as a lefty in order to hit angle again. I think you're right. That's one of those plays where if you're not lined up, you have to put it in play and rely on your defensive depth.
Serving a lot at Schnida. You mentioned that earlier, that she's a target and serve receive for opposing teams. Bear with a nice roll shot, but how about Caesar with the up? And the redirect from Forte. How about a redirect there, just finding an open spot in Florida's front left. Nice heads-up play, Sasha Ratliff for Ole Miss.
Ratliff capitalizing on the fact that Florida's still scrambling in the back row. Catches McKissick too far inside, but what a well-placed tip out of the middle.
Here's Riley Fisher serving. And an up from Caesar. Look out, McKissick stepped over Caesar. I think kicked her in the rear end too. And Caesar goes up and says, that hurt a little bit. Come on, Ellie.
But how about that for the never say die attitude here? Watches first the pancake and then McKissick says, well, that's all right, we'll go after it anyway.
Well, she kneed her teammate, then almost did run over Marley Montserrat.
Who said volleyball is not a contact sport?
Once in a while it is, right? Jump set to the outside for Hall. She's blocked. And the second best blocking team in the league is finding a rhythm here in set 3 with a 3-point lead.
Sasha Ratliff closing that block up and then dropping her inside hand just a touch there to redirect the ball back to the center of the court.
That's the first block of the match for Ole Miss. Florida has been that good offensively.
And that's why the pass and the first contact in general, even the transition dig, has allowed Montserrat to spread the ball out. As soon as Florida becomes predictable, they get easier to block and defend.
Mary Wise wants a timeout here early in this third set as Ole Miss has come out firing in all cylinders themselves and limiting Florida to only a 111 hitting efficiency number. Ole Miss trying to fight back and get back in this match down 0-2 in the Sunshine State against Florida. Coming out of a Florida timeout, Gators up 2-0. But Ole Miss with renewed purpose here in the third, knowing that win this set or it's over.
Well, this has been a week of upsets. Texas Tech jumped up on Baylor in a reverse sweep after dropping the first two, came back and won. So Florida's really got to key in here and get back into their rhythm best they can.
Julia Dice misses there, trying to tip one into Florida's front right. That stops a Ole Miss 4-0 scoring run. So Trinity Adams checks back in here for Florida in this situation to serve.
And you mentioned Trinity Adams in getting her spot on this team. And I think that's a really cool story for the Gators. Big block by Hall, solo at the left.
One-on-one was watching the middle blocker Ratliff make her way towards the right pin. Time to jump perfectly.
And every time I try to make a comment, somebody comes out and makes a huge play like Thayer Hall. Look at this intensity on her celebration, telling her teammates, let's go.
That's a momentum changer right there. Let's see if it translates for Florida. Another big block, but a great up from Ole Miss.
And blocks tend to happen in waves once you get keyed in on a particular team. Big hustle from Thayer Hall toward the table here.
After the one-handed save from Adams. Whoa! Adams will steer one towards Montserrat.
Oh, yeah. And Caesar having to cover her own attack out of the back row, but tees it right up in the middle there to the waiting hands of Sasha Ratliff. Buries it.
Montserrat looked immediately up at the up official Kevin Wendelboe and said, that's over the net. And he said, no, that's in the plane. She can play it there.
Yeah, as long as the ball penetrates that vertical plane of the net, it's anybody's game.
Out to Hall goes Montserrat, tip shot. It's another kill for Thayer Hall, make it 13 on this
Schneider
afternoon.
Schneider caught a read there, almost pulled that ball up as she came up the Rebel sideline. Not quite.
Thayer Hall with her 13th kill on the afternoon, tying her season high she had earlier against Baylor on the 10th.
And Hall is leaned on so heavily by Florida. There have been situations where just by consequence, she's been on the wrong end of, you know, a late error or a play not going the Gators' way. But when you get the ball as often as she does, first contact, on the attack, from the service line, you're bound to end up in those positions. She's got an unbelievable amount of stress on her.
She touched that one from the middle blocker, making their way to the right antenna.
Nice up by Fisher in the left back for Ole Miss there.
Yes, it was. Dooley plays the ball up for Florida.
That one's off
Beeson with the
pin.
kill. 6 out of 10 without an error for Merritt Beeson. Pretty good day at the office so far for the freshman.
Hey, and you know what? You gotta give credit, as you pointed out, that Dooley was able to play that ball there. She's had a few digs on the season. She's single digits there because that's not her job. But to be able to be alert in transition and contribute like that is key.
Florida touching a lot of balls from the Ole Miss attackers as Beeson loads up on the right again. And Merritt Beeson delivers a laser.
And look how quickly the freshman gets all the way out to the attack line there. Transitions back and is back in so fast. Very impressive play for somebody who, because of some of the transfers, I think most Gator fans probably thought that Haley Warner was going to take that right side spot. And all of a sudden it's Beeson's job, and she's really embraced the role and looks comfortable there.
We've seen Thayer Hall on the right this season. Tough play for Ole Miss. Free ball opportunity for Florida here. And in transition, find number 99.
And I mentioned how Dooley has been considered previously in her career as a defensive middle. But watch her take a piece out of the floor here with this swing. And again, that's a testament to Wise's ability to develop players. Because prior to her senior year, Dooley really would just spot the ball more often than not, hitting with a lot heavier arm now.
Florida on a 4-0 scoring run. The one-handed save there for McKissick. Beeson again with the tip, and it's down for the kill. Merritt Beeson, stat line 8-0-12.
Well, you didn't expect a 6'3" player to be able to jump and bang and get big blocks, but how about the IQ to switch it up to off speed and find that open spot on the court too?
This is a true freshman that you get this variety of shots from. Up from McKissick. Back row Caesar, it's in. Wow.
Caesar has such a wide shot cone. We saw that crossbody shot from her out of the back row earlier, and that was out of middle back. But right side, as she's going from inside to outside on that set, still hits across the court.
Florida on a 6-0 scoring run, Josh, after that latest kill from Tiara Caesar. And the Gators, who once trailed here in the third, now up by 3. Merritt Beeson, true freshman, has been en fuego. 8 kills without an error in 12 swings on the right side. And she's taken 1 or 2 approaches from the left too. She's very multi-talented in the way she can approach and attack from both sides, whatever rotation she's in. But Josh, this is the bounce back that the coaching staff in Florida had hoped when she had that 4 or 5 match stretch where she was frustrated by what some other teams were defending her.
Well, you've got to credit Julie Daly out of Alabama. She can produce some players, and not to mention both of her own daughters, one of them playing for Kentucky. But Beeson came in with the skill set to be used by Florida right away.
Caesar misses that one from the back row, what we call the pipe. So it breaks a 6-0 Florida run, and the serve of Marley Monserrat, who had kept the Ole Miss passers.
Caesar couldn't quite get on top of that one. Kind of hit it flat.
McLaughlin for Ole Miss. Hall from the right. Why not another kill for Thayer Hall? A new season high, 14 kills.
That's a different looking release from Hall. She just snapped her wrist on that with an ankle shot. Maybe recognizing that she's less comfortable in that direction. in going for precision over power.
Hall serves here for Florida. Gators up 3 and up 2-0. Here's replay in the third.
Big swing.
Saltemeyer.
Saltemeyer making her presence known. That's twice now that she's found the connection with McLaughlin and found clean shots. Look at her take this rip right down inside the double block from Florida. She was pushed over to the left side a little bit, not much. Had a double block up in front of her and it didn't matter.
Service error here for Dice, and to just end that thought on Saltemeyer. She started all 20 matches last year for this team, led them in hitting at .323, led them in blocks with 57. She's in the Rebel top 10 all time in career blocks, so this is an experienced player.
Yeah, we've said her name a lot in broadcasts in the past, but again, she's playing with 2 other players who are sitting at 4th and 5th in the SEC for kill percentage.
Mary Beeson again with 9.
There it is.
Broken record, isn't it?
I believe so.
Some of our viewers might not know what a record is, though. Now it's all downloads, right?
Yeah, we got a glitch in the download there. But yeah, I think that if there's a way that you're going to come off as a broken record, Gator fans have got to love hearing the Merritt Beeson name with her kills. Like you said, especially after hitting that rough patch.
Caesar tools hands. Florida back in an offensive groove after a slow start here in set 3. Now back in control as it seems.
That resilience is huge if you're going to make your way into the postseason, because the parity, even in the SEC, we've mentioned with some of these teams who traditionally don't finish higher in the conference, now being much more dangerous, you've got to be able to take a few shots and come back.
It wasn't the most efficient contact, but a big smile from Lauren Dooley. As off the side of her hand, she gets one to fall.
Lauren Forte, and you say off the side of her hand, I think she just got a kill with her thumb.
Okay, Forte with the kill there. My mic just slid right down below my chin. Great up. How about another great up, diving Thayer Hall.
Seeing these teams mix up the offense a little bit, even from the third contact.
Lauren Forte, make it 11 out of 14.
And talk about mixing up the contact there. Forte has gone left, left, left. Watch her now, she gathers and goes off to the right. Puts her thumb forward, finds Aubrey Saltemeyer's left elbow, hits a beachy shot there off the block.
That's one of your words too, I love, Dr. Crow, beachy. Just beachy. Out to Caesar with the tip. Trying to make an effort to get there was the setter, McLaughlin, but you're dug in for Caesar's lasers from that left antenna down the line, and she pulls that one out of the shot trick.
Well, the last thing you want to be in this game, I would venture to say any sport, is predictable, and that's one of the ways on an individual basis you can keep your opponent guessing in volleyball, is to mix up the shots.
Right side, Schnitta misses it wide.
And then, of course, when you add that to a team that has an offensive weapon like Marley Monserrat and her ability to distribute the ball to all of these players who can then, add their own dash of versatility, it makes for a very difficult team to play against as long as they're passing the ball well.
Florida trailed 9-5, took a timeout. Since then, it's 16-3 Florida.
Happened quick.
Sure did.
This
Hall
ball's
gets
alive
back up
again.
and send it across. That's just out. Yes, off of Beeson, and she knew it. Didn't quite turn it into the court.
But for a team that struggled with not only transition digs, but serve receive passing at points this season, to their own downfall, you gotta love them playing so scrappy in some of these longer rallies. I think we've seen more one-arm digs out of this Florida Gators team today alone than we have the rest of the season.
That one's long. So one and done for Ole Miss on the serve. That's tough to build momentum. And it's been the serve, this set, of Monserrat, who served a 6-serve stretch, and now McKissick, a 6-serve stretch to vaunt the Florida Gators into this lead.
Now we mentioned how Beeson has had trouble with the serve, and so the Gators have moved her into that more international style of float serve where she's way back and can haul off on it and really get a lot of movement on the ball. But we saw this one, the movement was downward. You can't control the float once it's left your hand, obviously.
Monserrat sets Forte. There's the Gator block again, making a touch, giving the back row defenders a chance. Big block there in the middle for Ratliff of Ole Miss.
Sounds like, or it looks like Ratliff rather is starting to get a little bit more of a read on Forte. One in a row isn't a thing, but that's how it always starts with blocks, is you get one, and then once you start to get a better read on your opponent, they come easier after that.
Just the second block of the day for Ole Miss.
It's more that craftiness from Monterey as she chases down the ball.
That one's long. Florida creeping closer. So as I said before, I was anticipating a 4 or 5 setter today, and Florida's been just so impressive offensively.
Well, there are a lot of doubters out there about what Florida could do with this limited roster, especially since some of the losses that they've suffered this season. But the fact of the matter is, like I said, they've got so much talent. It just hinges on a couple factors.
Monterey makes a jab at it over at the scorer's table. We can't come up with it. So a kill for Ratliff. The hitting percentage numbers for Florida, Josh, have been just off the chart. And defensively, they've defended Ole Miss well.
Any time you can hit above 300, that's not too shabby. So to be in the 4s or above is something spectacular.
Double look, Hall, but a great up by Schnitta.
Just a quick reaction from Schnitta to keep that ball alive.
How about that shot on the fly, adjusting on her way down, pulls it, the elbow down, and just hits a roll shot. Match point, Florida.
Caesar maybe even feeling that she wasn't timed right for that connection, making the change. But you said it, it was late through that swing, and she was still able to keep her vision, figure out where she was, and make it happen.
Everyone on their feet in exact tech, match point, Florida. Thayer Hall blocks it back.
And a great serve from Adams to start that off, we have to say.
Marley Monterey on second contact ends it for Florida. With the left hand. She's very lethal with both, but that was the left hand she's been working on so much. We've seen her work on that in practice and before matches. Wow.
I mentioned that 300 mark. She came into this match hitting as a setter 376, and we just saw why.
These two teams will play again tomorrow, but we have a final score tonight here in Exact Tech as the game